The fruit was a fruit without fruit. A plastic sphere, severed from the memory of the fruit tree, sat quietly on the windowsill, not bathed in sunlight, but polished by fluorescent light into an orange hue. It did not reflect light, but absorbed the spectrum of desire and glowed. A taste of a bygone era, devoid of acidity, a symbol of sweetness cloaked in the skin of a simulacrum. The sky outside was no longer sky. Fragments of imagination sucked into a copier were repeatedly printed, mimicking a landscape. At its center lay the meaningless fruit under surveillance. But the artificial orange by the window knew. There was no need for it to be a fruit at all. It was a symbol carved to mimic substance, its very innocence a noise seeping through the designed repetition. What we consume is not sweetness. It is the illusion of institutional integrity, consent without understanding under the guise of perception, and the non-existent seed rolling at the back of the throat. The orange lying by the window is cloaked in the fantasy of a perfect sphere. The plastic texture, discernible without touch, blurs the boundary between warmth and coldness. The colors that have replaced the memory of nature are proof of someone's design. The light streaming through the glass reveals the space for creativity hidden in the everyday window, as the concept of fruit is symbolized to peer into the interior of the orange. Without peeling away the artificial membrane, what are we tasting? Only the sound of the name orange evokes a longing for the real thing. That orange transcends the imitation of fruit and is a fragment of light that embodies a paradox of perception. Placed on the windowsill, it is no longer flesh or peel, but an optical device that mimics the memory of color. In other words, a substitute for reality that has ceased to exist. You called it orange, but the trace of the name tears apart its meaning. You know it is not a citrus fruit, that it has no scent, that it does not rot with time. Yet, at the moment the twilight breaks, its form, faithful only to the angle of artificial light, begins to suddenly shift all senses, like the circuit of episteme pouring the taste of the future into the past self. The window is a boundary, neither open nor liberating, but rather an openness that mimics being closed. Thus, the orange is also the superficial ornamentation of desire's lingering image, a symbol that cannot be consumed. That orange exists on the inside beyond the window. What we see is citrus created by our own closed gaze. It is not sweet, but it is vivid and has a color that is faithful to fiction. Fragments of still light settle on the windowsill at 3:00 p.m. It is not a fruit. It is not an imitation of the sun. It smooths and distorts the contours of existence beyond the imitation of nature. A fruit without peel, sweetness without scent, temperature without touch. It is an excess of sensation disguised as the absence of sensation, a transparent lie stretched between inside and outside. The orange placed upon that lie stands as a forbidden fruit that will never be tasted. No one peels it, no one doubts it. While performing the act of existence, it serves as proof of non-existence. In whose memory did this orange ripen? In whose dreams did it not rot? In whose silence did it retain its color? Artificiality is not the negation of nature, but the symbolization of nature. This orange strips away the meaning of the fruit and is placed on the windowsill as a fruit of meaning. It absorbs the gaze of the beholder, serving as a paradoxical tool for exploring the phenomenon of observation. Its orange hue is a bold declaration of fiction, a supreme repose that never decays. It has never dreamed of the sun. He knows nothing of the toil of life, of rooting in the earth, begging for rain, and striving against gravity to reach the treetops. Its minute autu meticulously mimic the memory of the fruit that once was, but there is no trace of the agony of photosynthesis or the history of insect bites. A perfect entity devoid of essence, holding the very concept of orange hostage. Outside the window, the real sunset performs the majestic process of decay every day. It burns brightly, bleeds, and eventually sinks into the memory beyond the horizon. If that brilliance is the essence of life, then this small celestial body is the prototype of divinity. Without heat, without scent, without flavor, what exists is merely an abnormal surge of meaning in the act of being orange. We forcefully smear the barren sphere with the honey of nostalgia, the dining table of our childhood, the sour scent lingering on our fingertips, the light of midsummer. This fake contaminates even our memories artificially. When we finally hold the real fruit in our hands, we will notice a faint sense of unease. Something is different. There must have been a more perfect orange. The imperfect forgery erodes the imperfect truth.